Profile. A fact-finding mission on matters of development by the Government Information Service.
Yeah, he was very impressed with the product. So then the PM said to him, try to assist this guy. And that's where the small business people came in and gave me a little boost.
For instance, the government of Dominica purchased a couple of my paintings, and offices, government offices, doctors, lawyers,
I brought some photos because I didn't want just to tell them what I could do. I wanted them to see what I can do.
Can boast of at least 65 to 75% success rate in the small business support unit.
It is well documented that small business enterprises over the years have made a significant contribution to the economic development of Dominica. While the sector has contributed to the island's revenue-generating efforts, it has been felt that much more could be done to further stimulate the sector. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, who is also the Finance Minister, in his 2008-2009 budget address, made reference to the many challenges now being faced by the small business enterprise sector in Dominica. He outlined areas such as access to finance, limited management capacity, sustainable production, weak marketing capabilities as some areas of concern. These concerns motivated the government of Dominica in 2008 to set up the Small Business Support Unit within the then Ministry of Trade, Industry, Consumer and Diaspora Affairs.
Persons who feel that they've got a viable business come in, discuss with us, see what is really lacking, try to advise them, give them more ideas as to the way about getting the financial assistance they required or the technical assistance. And if for some reason they still didn't meet the requirements for assistance from the various institutions, then we would attempt to see how best we could assist.
The Small Business Support Unit was set up to provide assistance to small businessmen and women on the island who had viable business plans but had difficulty in attracting financing through the traditional credit institutions. The government decided to set up the unit to, among other things, help reduce poverty levels on the island and create employment opportunities for young people across Dominica.
When we were set up, there are a number of things we're working towards. One is the creation of employment. Another one is reduction of poverty. We also want to create businesses in some of the areas, maybe some of the rural areas that nothing much is happening. We have got that outreach program. We also want to do things like assist persons who for some reason or the other may have lost a job. There are a number of groups of persons like women that are head of households, that maybe, being home, with a husband, but they could do some sewing, or they could get involved in making some condiments, whatever, the grocery shops or whatever. So that is, the kind of persons, that we're looking at.
To benefit from the Small Business Support Unit, certain key requirements must be met. Importantly, applicants must be citizens of Dominica, involved in a micro or small business which is their main source of income or livelihood. There is in place a strict application process which must be followed to determine if the aspiring business individual qualifies to receive assistance.
For one, someone is going to have to fill out an application. If they've got a business plan, you know, we would like to look at it, but we realize in a number of cases, the small business persons do not have written plans. And, you know, sometimes we don't want to really force them to go get somebody to draft out a plan for them, because we know that it can be an expensive venture. And then a lot of times, even, you know, somebody were to write a plan for them, they don't really understand it. So what we tend to be doing sometimes for the smaller businesses, or, you know, micro, small, real small businesses, we ask the people to give us a page or two of the ideas, document the ideas, like they're talking to us. Just document your ideas, tell us what you're doing, tell us where you expect your revenue source. We try to test you so that you understand, you know, all your revenues are not necessarily profits. We want you to be able to convince us you understand the difference between your needs and your wants, stuff like that.
Once the application proposal is submitted to the Small Business Unit for funding, a review committee set up by government will meet and determine whether the applicant will be granted assistance.
Once this is done, then we come in, you come in, we have a discussion with you, be certain we are pretty much in sync with what you're doing. We do our internal review, then it is passed on to a review committee that government has set up, you know, with our recommendations. With our recommendations, we pass it on to the review committee for final approvals. Once this is done, then it comes back down and we give the financial assistance, be it in form of a loan or a grant, or if it's technical assistance, then we dispense.
A number of factors will determine whether or not the application for small business will be approved. Those factors include viability of the proposed business, the availability of necessary information, the social and economic impact, sustainability, and the existence of small projects in a given area. The proposed business idea must also be in keeping with government's priorities and directives.
Lately, we've seen a lot of people, for instance, applying to do snackets. We know that is something where people think there's a quick turnover, easy money. So a lot of times we're guided by the type of business that somebody's applying for, the area in which they want to put the business, you know, besides maybe the viability. Sometimes we have to go in terms of maybe government priorities as well. Since we're a government institution, you know, government may have certain priority areas that in any particular period, payment period, that they would like to expound on. So this goes. So it's pretty difficult, you know, for me to say, you know, exactly how much time it's going to take. But what we do know is that every application that we receive, it is going to be given some consideration. And once we get it to the review committee and we've gotten an approval, then we inform the individuals.
The viability of a business is one of the key fundamentals to the Small Business Support Unit in approving any application.
We like businesses that's creating employment. We like businesses a lot of times in some of the rural areas, the areas where there are less businesses. We like businesses, for instance, that could empower women, you know. We like businesses that is going to overall assist in reducing poverty.
Once our team is sure that the business is feasible and we can lend some support, sometimes it just takes just a little bit, just to give them that little push. And that will, you know, create some sort of sustainability for them.
The Small Business Support Unit prides itself in doing follow-ups on the small businesses which they are providing either financial or technical assistance to. Support for the Small Business Support Unit has been granted to people all across Dominica involved in food service, the construction industry, tourism and related services, handicraft, art and design, cosmetology, entertainment, and agro-industries.
A number of persons that's involved in agro-processing. In terms of agro-processing, a lot of these persons are constantly getting their supplies from be it farmers or whatever. We have a number of persons, you know, that's involved in, let's say, construction, for instance. You know, so we know the impact, you know, these persons are having. We have a number of persons in garment, you know, the garment business. And I'm not just talking about, you know, doing a skirt or something, We're talking about, persons who've moved into school uniforms. We've moved into bedding and accessories and all that kind of stuff. So, the garment industry, we've seen really positive impact. I like most of the other sectors as well,
The Small Business Support Unit is mandated to assist non-agricultural small businesses. Small businesses in the agricultural production sector have been advised to seek assistance from the Agricultural Investment Unit within the Ministry of Agriculture. The amount and type of assistance approved by the Small Business Unit is based on an analysis of request and the discretion of the review committee. No minimum or maximum level of assistance is predetermined. The Small Business Unit is not limited to only providing financial and technical support.
We may not be able to assist them sometimes, maybe just in terms of finance, but because of our connection, we being government agencies, we may be able to assist them in other areas, be it in terms of a duty-free, be it in terms of getting somebody from overseas, a consultant to come in to work with them, We may be able to assist maybe in some form of packaging design. It's a number of areas.
The Small Business Support Unit is reporting that from over 2,000 applications received from 2008, financial assistance was granted to over 786 Dominicans with viable business ideas. That assistance has amounted to over $4 million.
And we've assisted almost every sector in Dominica, and it's all over Dominica. The Small Business Unit, we've assisted persons, almost every community.
In October 2010, the Small Business Support Unit hosted a Small Business Week under the theme Building Dominica Through Small Business. The week was designed to provide the general public with an opportunity to familiarize themselves with micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in Dominica. The highlight was a small business exhibition, which took place at the Windsor Park Stadium. As a direct follow-up to the Small Business Week in 2010, the Small Business Support Unit is moving to organize a national trade exposition later this year.
We're now moving this thing onto a much bigger scale. What we're going to do this year is a national trade expo, where we won't only limit it to small businesses or micro businesses, but we're going to be inviting all Dominicans, both persons, be it the service sector, be it in manufacturing, agro-processing, be it all Dominican entrepreneurs to come and down to exhibit their products, hopefully for a week. We'll create that type of market atmosphere, We'll try to see whether we can get some persons from foreign to come in, and really stimulate, a buzz for our products, not only locally, but in terms of exports as well.
The Small Business Support Unit is advising business people to make it their business to understand the environment in which they operate. Businesses have also been advised to consider entering into partnerships which may result in savings.
We have a number of sectors that we're bringing together. Let's say we have a lot of requests for people who wants to do salons, beauty salons, manicure, pedicures. We're trying to bring these people together and say, hey man, if you're going to purchase in bulk, you are going to get better prices. It's the same thing we're doing with people in the garment industry, the woodwork industry, the metal industry, all of those, the leather craft, persons. So we're trying to tell people, come together, do joint purchasing, try to get a good understanding of maybe the treaties, the CARICOM treaties, try to get yourself totally in sync with the whole business, the whole economic thing around you. We think if there's a good understanding of that, and people are just willing to come together, form groups, form associations, talk to each other, we think if they can really do that, plus understand the dynamics, the realities of doing business, not only in Dominica, but general business in general, we think that would really help. That would really help them a bit.
Profile. A fact-finding mission on matters of development by the Government Information Service.
Another area which is of critical importance for any business to survive is proper record keeping.
It's pretty difficult to know the entrepreneur's real want if they have no records. It becomes extremely difficult. We have our ways of going around this, and and address it, but it's very difficult. And even then, one of the conditions, or one of the things that we set, the parameters for assessing whether somebody gets additional assistance from us, or whether we're going to convert their loan into a grant, is their bookkeeping. Because one of the ways we want to confirm, or we want to assert, that the money was used for the purpose intended, and both their objectives and government objectives are being met, is through bookkeeping. And a lot of times, those persons lack that ability, and it kind of complicates the process.
The unit makes it a priority to continue assisting small businesses in Dominica with the necessary capital and technical know-how to support viable businesses, despite having inadequate financial resources. To address the problem, the government of Dominica has pledged to continue making special budgetary allocations towards the operations of the Small Business Support Unit.
We have invested in excess of, just about 4 million. At the end of this year, we should be up to 4 million, because when we first, usually we budgeted for about 2 million every year. And then we're up to a second year again, which is going, and we in the third year again, we will receive some assistance from government in terms of providing more assistance for people.
The Small Business Support Unit will be looking to develop a small business development policy for Dominica.
We want to bring in the persons together to help us develop a policy, a small business development policy, something that can be a national policy. There we will define what a small business is. We can see, maybe get a better idea as to what it is government can do to further enhance the small business environment.
A Small Business Support Act is also being considered.
We think it is important that there is a Small Business Act to regulate, government act, to regulate the activities of small businesses, see what form of financial, technical, see what laws need to be enacted to protect our small businesses as much as possible.
In April 2011, the Small Business Support Unit merged with a new entity to form the Dominica Employment and Small Business Support Unit.
One of the objectives, one of the purposes for which the Small Business Unit was set up was for employment creation. It is critically important, one of our main pillars, our main focus. If we're going to be giving assistance, you have to be able to create some form of employment first. So the tying of these two institutions, I think, it's perfectly matched.
Both Employment Minister and Unit Director Etienne says the future for small business in Dominica looks promising.
Almost anything will succeed in Dominica if it is well thought out, if it is well designed, if we have good implementers, if the entrepreneurs understand, So the future for small business in Dominica is really great.
This government will remain steadfast and focus on its promises to its people. And it's very important to understand that the small business sector in Dominica, it's very important for us.
Profile. A fact-finding mission on matters of development by the Government Information Service.
So who are the people benefiting and how successful are their businesses? One of them is Mary John, who grew up surrounded by people who were involved in sewing.
My mother used to sew, and then I have my sister sewing, and all of them making clothes. I myself used to make clothes, but I used to do my own little designing at home, and then I decided to take it further.
In 2000, Mary decided to pursue her sewing ambitions at an entrepreneurial level. She approached the Small Business Unit for financial support.
They said to me that I need to fill in a form to let them know what I really need in. And then after that, I got an invoice, like the amount of material I would need, how much it would cost. And then I brought some photos because I didn't want just to tell them what I could do. I wanted them to see what I can do. So I brought some photos to them, and then they had them in my file. And from there, they proceed with it.
Mary is now actively involved in sewing curtains, bedspreads, charms, quilts, and other decorative linen for the home. The Small Business Support Unit assisted her in securing machinery and supplies for her small sewing outlet at a home in Lower Mondaniel.
They bought me my first sewing machine. They bought it for me. That was a couple of years back. They bought me my first sewing machine, and then they gave me some other assistance, small assistance. And I wanted to buy certain things for the sewing shop. They assisted me.
She attributes her success so far to a lot of patience.
Everything goes with time, and you have to have patience with everything you're doing, because to be a seamstress you have to have a lot of patience, especially with the type of let's say the type of work I'm doing. You have to have a lot of patience. So if you really decide to go into this small business, you have to have patience, and it will happen for you.
Mary boasts of being able to deliver a top quality product to her customer.
When I'm sewing, I always take my time. After I finish, do everything, although I'm cutting off all my friend and my excess thing because the overlocker does that, but I always take everything put in front of me, sit down and take a small scissors and cut off every piece of it, because I like to see a neat work.
With any business, there are challenges. Mary says her hard work is not always rewarded.
Sometimes you mix off, I have my own product, my own material. People would come to me and ask me to make different stuff for them. Sometimes most of the time, if I know the person, I don't take deposit. Sometimes they go this stuff and I have to be working there, and sometimes I just leave it for them and I just move on. But right now, seeing that I reach in that stage, right now I asking for deposit. You have to pay down half of the stuff, half of the money, and when you come in to pick it up, then you could bring the rest.
Working from this small space within the confines of a bedroom has its challenges. Mary has some definite plans for future expansion.
I would like to employ even though at least 2 people, because of the kind of work I am doing. It have a lot of strain, but then because of my workshop is very small, I cannot accommodate anybody right now. But small business unit, they assisting me right now with a small workshop to see how I'll be able to extend, because I have this spot at the back already. I can at least employ 2 people together with my 2 daughters.
Mary's sewing operation was one of several small businesses which participated in the 2010 Small Business Exhibition at the Windsor Park Stadium. She is already reaping benefits from the exposure received.
A lot of people didn't know about me. Besides the ordinary little people I used to do stuff for, like somebody would come to your home, I do a bedspread, a set for you, and they would come and they would sit and they say, hey, who do that for you? So you say, it's a lady by the name of Mary John. You say, well, they would like to get in contact, but most of the time I have my little card, my business card, so I'll give it to them, and like because of that I'll get other customers. But because of the small business unit exhibition invited me, when I went to that stadium, it was a blessing, because I got a lot of exposure. My daughters and then put some of my bees. People even call me from overseas. My bees, my curtains on Facebook, and people would sit and they would comment on it. And they say they never know Dominica have such talented people and things like that. So I would say yes, because of the exhibition, it has brought me real far.
Alfred Daru, a 23-year-old from Good Hope, confesses that from a very early age he aspired to become an entrepreneur. In 2009, Alfred took advantage of a special training program offered by the Dominica Youth Business Trust.
I always wanted to open my own business. So when I got the opportunity to do the business course with the U Division, I went ahead and do it.
Armed with basic skills in starting a business, Alfred prepared an appropriate plan and approached the small business unit for financial assistance.
So after I did the business, the business course, got the business plan done, I brought the business plan along with the requirements. They approved my application, and then I got a call at a check waiting at the financial center.
With cash in hand, Alfred decided to place an order for some much needed equipment for his wood workshop in Good Hope.
But the financial aid is supposed to be used towards purchasing some tools and equipments to assist with the production. So that's what it's going to be used for. This is supposed to be coming from some St. Thomas because most of the tools I use I can't get here, so I have to send for them foreign. So this is supposed to be coming in a couple of weeks.
Alfred spends a lot of time in his workshop carving out fine pieces of practical artwork. He focuses on making items such as jewelry boxes, napkin holders, and platters.
The idea is to do stuff people will actually, most of them I do like desktop accessories and stuff people can actually use. So I make a jewelry box, somebody can use it instead of just buying a plain turtle. You buy a turtle that's a jewelry box, so you can use it. I make napkin holders, so it's something you can also use.
The young businessman views his business as a profitable venture.
The woodwork is a very profitable business. In terms of the materials you use are very cheap, and the end product is a high quality product, so you get to sell it a lot more than what you buy. Looking at the finished products, people tend to think that the wood is not local, but the truth of the matter is the wood is all local, but right there in my village of Good Hope.
Most of the items produced by Alfred are sold to tourists. Vendors place their orders for the handcrafted made items.
Right now, I do wholesale to retailers. I sell to retailers on the market. So I have a clientele base, so people call me and make orders and ask for what they need, and I deliver.
Alfred has made it clear that his priority is top quality work that is receiving positive reviews from those who come in contact with his craft items. He attributes much of his success to John Roach of the Dominica Youth Business Trust.
First of all, I'd like to say a big thanks to Mr. John Roach from the DYBT, Small Business Trust. I think he's the person that motivated me from the start, so shouts out to Mr. Roach.
Business is not always bliss for young Daru. He has learned that developing a business is an ongoing process. A booming business is always a good thing, but as it grows, so must its infrastructure. Alfred has some definite plans for the future.
Sometimes you cannot move as fast as you want to because of the limited resources or tools you have. So getting the aid from the small business, I hope will facilitate the process to produce more, maybe employ a few young individuals.
There are real benefits to managing one's own business. For Daru, it's about being financially independent.
I think is best thing to work for yourself because you can control your finance, control how much money you want to make or your level of success. So the harder you work, the more success you have. So in a way you control your own destiny.
Daru is keen on implementing some of the key business practices learned from his recent training program by the Dominica Youth Business Trust.
For the second year through my business, I had somebody keep the tabs on the amount of money I spend on materials and the amount of money I make. So I think I have that covered.
One day, Alfred would like to own his own souvenir shop where he could offer his products for sale.
In the future, my plan is to have my own souvenir shop on the bayfront, or have my own souvenir shop, employ a few young persons to work, and hopefully, as you know, the tourist season is a seasonal thing, so hopefully I'll be able to get some foreign clienteles. So when the season is off in Dominica, I can still have some business.
Daru credits the assistance received from the Small Business Support Unit as key to him realizing his business dream. He encourages other young people to seek support from the Small Business Support Unit.
I would encourage young persons like myself to seek assistance from the Small Business Unit, because they have helped me in financially to upgrade my business and take me to another level.
Curtis Shillingford has been a trucker for the better part of his life. But in 2009, he was inspired to do something else.
When I was into the trucking business, I had this friend called, well, I still have this friend called Earl. And he says to me, we were talking one night, he says, Curtis, if this thing is not working, you've got to try to find something else to do. So the very next day, that's about 7 years ago, the very next day I came across one stone by the guy that I was working for. So I said, boss, can I have one of those? He said, sure, you can have one. So I take it and I brought it to Earl. I said, well, what do you think of this one? He says, well, yeah. So he get on the computer and he starts to get some information on it. And he says, you know what, that's the way to go. So we started working on that project, and then just bought some more, put it in the storeroom and just leave it there. 7 years later, my son comes to the island and says, Daddy, since I'm a little boy, so you're fighting with this truck business, My sister and myself take a decision to sell them trucks, so you better start making more. And then from there, get into the storeroom, and the rest is what you see.
In September 2010, Curtis moved his new business idea to reality. He was convinced that diversifying into manufacturing special paving stones was the way forward for him. He now operates a small manufacturing business at his home in Girardel under the company name Gator Pavers. Most of the materials used for making the stones are sourced locally. He contends that helps to make the final product a very durable one.
So we started using the material from Carib Sand and Stone. Very happy. The material is good, it's strong, it gives us a real strong product, We use also fibercrete, like I said. We use the concrete oxide for color, and that's the materials that we use.
Curtis has employed 2 Haitian nationals to assist him in his small manufacturing business in the heights of Girardel. On a daily basis, his team produces a total of 75 molds. The goal is to increase that figure to 600.
We do not have enough molds, really, to do a full day's work. Presently, there's a company in Iowa who is manufacturing a hopper dozer for us, which would enable us to manufacture at least 650 molds in an 8-hour shift.
The paving stones, which are manufactured by Gator Pavers, are a first for Dominica. The stones can be used for several purposes.
It can be used for walkways, for sidewalks, for around your swimming pool. You could create patios like what you have behind us here. And if you notice, around the trees in my yard, we use from one particular product we call the French Provincial. These are just halves of it that they put together, and so we use it rather than laying them flat. We put them on edge, and that's what you see around the trees.
The finished product has been tried and tested and has been deemed to be of sound integrity.
We also had our product tested at the concrete lab, the government concrete lab down on Goodwill Road, to prove the strength of our product. That in the event that someone wants it for their driveway or anything like this, that we know that if we put our product down here, it is going to stand to any kind of traffic that comes on it. Yes, we have passed that test.
The product, which is relatively new on the market, has already been receiving encouraging reviews from the public.
Everybody that sees the product like it. I mean, it hasn't been advertised yet. This probably will be our first real advertisement of the product. But I know from what I've heard from people who have seen the product, they like it. It's, you know, the price is right. You know, we try not to have it too expensive, although some people complain, hey, partner, you don't want to make money. You know, but the idea is so that everybody could have a bit of it.
In 2011, Gator Pavers received its first major public exposure when the company participated in a small business exhibition organized by the Small Business Support Unit at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. That exposure reaped him rewards with financial support from the Small Business Support Unit.
There was this small business exhibition at the Windsor Park, and a friend of mine was involved in it, and he came to my friend Earl again to get some stuff from Earl. So they went in there to lay out that stuff, and when they got there, Earl said, "But hold on, rather than just put this here, let's bring Curtis in with his pavers." So they asked, he called the head bank, spoke to the lady. She said it was okay. Then we came in and laid out, did a fantastic job. And then the Prime Minister came about. He had a look at it. He stopped on it. And the guy from Portsmouth, what's his name? Small businessman, Vincent Etienne. Yeah, he was very impressed with the product. So then the PM said to him, you know, try to assist this guy. And that's where the small business people came in and gave me a little boost.
Curtis is elated about the assistance received from the unit.
What else can I say about the small business venture? I mean, hey, they gave me a good push, and I'm happy for it. They've taken me from a little downside and straightened me up a little bit. Although I wanted more, you know, but half a loaf is better than no bread.
Gator Pavers is aspiring to become a household name, not only in Dominica, but the rest of the region.
We intend for Gator Pavers to be the sidewalk of Roseau and Portsmouth and everywhere else in Roseau and Dominica that needs paving and sidewalks and whatever. Yes, we intend to. It's our dream. It's the dream of Gator Pavers to go around Dominica. I want this thing to go far, very far, you know, around the Caribbean if possible, and I will get it there.
Profile, a fact-finding mission on matters of development by the Government Information Service.
As a young boy from the village of Grand Fort, Marcus Coffey admired the way his father painted. He wanted to churn out creative artwork like his dad, and so took keen interest in his father's work. In 1994, Marcus left Cable and Wireless, where he had worked for some time, and decided to get involved in a painting career. He says his lack of any formal training did not hinder him.
I did not get any training, only that I love looking at other artists' work, so I would pass by other artists and look at the techniques and the styles and read a lot of books. But I never got any training from any artist.
Marcus explains that the inspiration from God, friends and family is what drives him to continue painting.
I must say the inspiration comes from the Most High Creator himself, and also, you know, what inspired me is to know that I have family and friends that appreciate the work. You know, sometimes I might be doing a painting and thinking about my friends that will love my work. You know, I just have a passion to do more of it, because, you know, people that you know, that are very close to you, that you love, appreciate, you know, what you do, and that gives you a drive and a passion.
While Marcus is involved in abstract painting, his real passion lies in painting scenes of natural landscapes in Dominica.
For the time I'm into scenery and a little abstract, you know. I've done one to abstract already. People told me I must continue, but I have a love for nature and landscape. And you know, Dominica is a place where you can just go out there and you see so much beautiful landscape and you know, the natural beauties.
Marcus is encouraged by the support received from the public.
I must say, since I've started, very well. For instance, the government of Dominica purchased a couple of my paintings, and offices, government offices, doctors, lawyers, you know, business places, bars, restaurants, even, you know, the local people for their homes, you know. So I think that I'm getting a good response, and a lot of them, you know, encourage me to work at it, because when I just started, you could see the little, you know, mistakes and improvement needed, but then seeing that they gave me the boost, I must say the Dominican public have really given me a lot of confidence to go ahead with it.
That encouragement further inspired Marcus to approach the small business unit for financial support to build his own art gallery in Grand Fort.
The Prime Minister, I met with him in an exposition they had down in the Botanical Gardens, and he told us about the initiative, and we said to ourselves, well, why don't we try it instead of, you know, because a lot of young people and young entrepreneurs need a little assistance, you know, seeing that was one of the initiatives that the government implemented that would have helped the small business sector. I mean, I see no need not to, you know, try to get that assistance, because I needed to strive to the higher level.
The Small Business Support Unit, impressed with the work of Marcus, did not hesitate to grant him the financial assistance needed to further improve his business.
They saw the need that the work have been evolving, you know, so good vibe was coming out of it, so they told me, well, Mr. Coffee, I mean, it makes no sense that you waste a lot of time. I mean, just have patience and everything will be okay. And then, you know, they assisted me.
Okay, so you got some financial assistance
yes,
from the
did.
unit. And what did you put that money towards?
Well, into painting supplies and building materials, you know, to start up my art gallery.
Marcus is grateful to the Small Business Support Unit for the valuable assistance granted to him in getting his art business to another level.
With the support and help I got from the Small Business Unit, I started off buying the supplies so that I could, you know, work with it and buy a couple of my materials on my own. I also did a course with the DYBT program, with the entrepreneurship program, so that it could help me manage my business also, you know. And then they assisted me in benefiting, being a guarantor of my loan, and that which I got at NDFD. I must, you know, give true respect to NDFD and their staff, because, you know, they gave me not only the financial support, but they gave me good advice also.
Being involved in the art industry has allowed Marcus to be economically independent.
I think that the art industry is a booming industry. We got a niche market. I sold paintings in the Caribbean region already. Also in England, my painting have, you know, gone far out over the world. So I think that it is making the economy better, because I buy a lot of materials in selling, so and I make a reasonable sum of money, you know. So what I do is I buy my materials, but it's just that, you know, every day you find that you'll get a lot of sale. You know, this month you mightn't get no sale, but I mean, you gotta improvise, you know. Try and see if someone wants something special, you know. These are the ways there you can try to help the economy and help yourself.
Today, the young painter has his work showcased at Everybody's Gallery and at Coco Rico Restaurant on the Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard. He wants to share his skill with those who are interested in learning the art of painting.
And what inspires me also is to see that I can use my talent, nurture it into the passage of time and teach others, upcoming artists as I am. So, that gives me the inspiration to do the work and non-stop. Even the young people in Grandmont, if you need some art classes for the summer holiday, you can come there about by me. I can help you out, and it's a good profession. Try your best to, go in it not just for the money, but for the love of it, so that, the most I can instill, the guidance and the wisdom and understanding that is needed so that you can come about being a successful entrepreneur and artist thereabout.
Help for small businesses also extends into the entertainment industry.
You can't give up. And you cannot stop pushing. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep knocking on the door. You have to keep asking. And there's a thing in Dominica, asking is not begging. There's a difference. Never stop asking, especially if you believe in yourself and you have a firm, grounded belief that you can do it. Hey, go for it. Keep asking, keep knocking, write the forms, call every day, be a pest, because you will get through.
If you are interested in getting into small business and you have a viable business plan, don't hesitate to approach the Small Business Support Unit. The unit is ready to assist enterprising entrepreneurs in developing their businesses. Let the Small Business Support Unit assist you on the road to success.